Welcome to another episode of the Refined Peasants podcast. I'm Wyatt.
I'm Garrett.
I'm Nick.
All right, let's get after it. All right, so today we're going to be coming at you from a bunch of different angles. We've got to cover a $2 trillion infrastructure bill, the new Georgia voter law that just passed,
And some actual systemic racism that Nick's going to drop off at the very end.
right? And a sex scandal within Congress. It's going to be, buckle up. It's going to be an interesting ride, fellas.
Do you want to hit...
Let's start with the infrastructure bill.
Okay.
Okay, all right, that works. Okay, so originally, Bernie Sanders called for a $16 trillion bill. And then after everyone's, jaws came picked up off the floor, they said that's not going to happen. They didn't even reduce his number. They just said that that's not going to happen. At this point, Biden is negotiating with himself because Joe Manchin himself said he would support up to $4.5 trillion in infrastructure over the next 8 years. Joe Biden has since negotiated to himself down to $2 trillion, which fucking Democrats, man, they're something else. They don't know how to wield the sword of power. They just don't. Basically, it's $2 trillion over 8 years, which really doesn't amount to much, but it's probably still money we don't have.
Yeah.
And I don't think...
National debt.
After a year and a half of COVID and stimulus checks and...
That national debt is just going to keep on going up.
Yeah, at this point, I encourage people to go look at the debt clock. It's amazing. It never fails to keep going up.
Mm-hmm.
Most of it is owed to us.
If you're an investor, I encourage gold, silver.
Maybe Bitcoin.
If you can afford
Fucking
Bitcoin.
Merlin.
Fuck. It's
You
like
know-
$13K a share in Bitcoin.
Bitcoin is going to become useless once the Fed realizes that they're going to do their own cryptocurrency. Bitcoin's going to just be nothing.
All the globalist currencies coming too.
Probably.
Like,
Unfortunately.
I'm not a fan of it.
As sad as that's going to be, I think it is coming too. All right, so back to the bill. So we've got $621 billion out of the $2 trillion going directly to bridges, roads, potentially like a new Amtrak. Like
monorail.
Yeah. They're working on that. And to me, so this whole infrastructure bill screams nothing but jobs to me. Whenever I'm hearing this bill,
the pitch.
that's all I'm hearing. Is jobs, jobs, jobs. 8 years worth of they're going to be union jobs too.
Ugh.
So, that's a good thing for the workers.
Not when you're a government employee.
You
I
think so?
suppose it's no. So, if you're a union, I've worked for a state government union before, and it literally takes a committee in the state legislature to fire you, and that's why people got so frustrated with their state governments. Like.
Unions are good.
It does not encourage expeditious processing.
Mm-hmm.
So,
unions are good.
Unions in general, I think, are a good thing.
I don't think unions in federal, and this goes for like cops.
Like public sector, general.
Public sector unions aren't good because you're negotiating with the taxpayer. And you're given a level of job security, which while I find desirable for the job, it's an obscene level of job security.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people are pissed off with these cops that do wrong not getting fired, and it's it's because they're unions.
Yeah, it's hard to fire a union guy. They have to really, really fuck up.
I think about before unions, it was really easy to fire someone. So Gary, if you slipped and broke your leg on a factory floor, you got fired the next day.
Mm-hmm.
And you didn't even get your paycheck for that week. They gave you a few dollars and said leave.
Yeah, but this isn't 1920 anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But you could see if we didn't have unions were never a thing. So say when you broke
I'm not saying
your
unions
ankles
were never necessary. I'm saying public sector unions now, I think, offer more harm to the American taxpayer than they do good.
But they do better for everybody as a whole, right?
You can thank unions for
So I don't
stopping
know how you can
child
do
labor.
worse for taxpayers, which is literally everyone, and still do better for everyone as a whole. Like, I don't think so.
I mean, I honestly, I don't think that unions are worse. I think unions are generally a good thing.
Well, we can have a discussion about unions at a later.
Like, that doesn't mean, like just because, I mean, a few bad things kind of make it suck for everybody. Unions are also, like, if you have a problem with unions now, like, we have wheat unions in this country. They're nothing compared to what they were even 50, 60 years ago.
Well, that's true. We don't have, like, European unions. And not... no. Like, European workers' unions. Like, we don't have that level of unions here. I'm just saying, it's not... So while a union sounds good, like, so there are places like Hobby Lobby. Hobby Lobby, the workers need to fucking unionize because they are mistreated. I have worked in Hobby Lobby, and they treated me like dog shit. You need to form a union. And there are still places like that. I just don't think the public sector jobs are among them. But it is called the American Jobs Act, right? Yep. Again, I've talked about it before, but props to Democrats for naming their fucking bills, because, who wants to be, you're just against the American Jobs Act.
Right.
Like, oh, well, that's a shitty place to start the argument. But you said 621, and that's bridges, roads, actual infrastructure.
Exactly. Right. Well, it's not just that. It's they're just redoing, like, roadways, railways, bridges.
The main highways.
So they start here?
The main stuff.
No, they won't start here.
No, fucking hell, they need to fix our roads.
They'll do like they did the railroads. They'll start on each coast, and they'll move inward.
Right. 400 billions going to the elderly and the disabled. I mean...
400 billion.
Yeah, 400 billion with a B. And this is... Let me look. Sorry, I've got it pulled up here. It's just really...
So I think that's the part where they're expanding Medicare.
Yeah. Quality... So it's meant for people with disabilities. So people with disabilities are now going to get more in benefits, basically. More Medicaid.
Have they lowered the price of insulin yet?
What part of...
What did you say?
Have they lowered the price of insulin yet?
No.
Maybe fucking start there.
Wyatt's admitted he's using it to further an agenda for universal health care.
It's killing people.
I did fucking what now?
The reason Biden's not got rid of the...
I said that?
Yeah.
No fucking way. Someone pull the tape.
That first podcast.
Someone pull the tape.
Okay.
There
I ain't gonna sit through that 2.5 hour thing.
Someone pull the fucking tape. There ain't no goddamn way I said that.
I will find it for you, and I'll put it in the show notes myself that said Wyatt said this at this time on that first podcast.
You're gonna have to, because that's...
God, I need to record. I need a podcast for my home life, so every time my wife says, "Oh, I didn't say that," bullshit, right fucking there. Anyway, continue with the 400 billion for elderly and disabled.
It would boost pay. It would federally subsidize the pay for care workers.
Okay.
The average wage now
is $12 an hour.
$12 an hour. And that, I think, since COVID, I think especially because, like, nurses, people who work with the elderly, they've had to give a lot up during COVID. They've had to give up time with their personal family because they're working with the elderly. Mm-hmm. They can't risk getting COVID. And I think Biden is trying to at least give them a little bit of what they gave us back. $400 billion going to that.
So, is that it on that part of it?
Yeah.
So what part of that screams jobs to you?
Well, it'll federally subsidize jobs.
I mean, federally subsidized wages,
right?
Not jobs.
Well, yeah.
Not job. Like, no part of that 400 billion goes to job creation.
Well, I mean, you're gonna have to find a way to make the buildings. It's like Bill Clinton did it in the '90s.
That's not what's covered in that 400 billion, though. And
affordable home for elderly people with disabilities is what it says.
But It's like wheelchair access and handrails.
Mhm.
That's not so.
It's not necessarily, but this isn't the intention of this portion of the bill. Isn't to create jobs.
Right. So I'm just going not the intention to create jobs here with $400
With
billion.
this section of the bill, no.
Right. Correct.
Okay.
Now I'll give you the $621 billion to actual infrastructure. That's probably going to create jobs. You got to.
It's only going to create jobs.
Yeah. So I'm trying to get a percentage of this bill that's actually going to create jobs.
Oh, I understand.
And some of it that's in parts of it that are not.
Mm-hmm. Well, I Googled how much, and Forbes said up to 9 million jobs over 8 years. Business Insider said 6 over 8 years.
So I'm more inclined to trust Business Insider.
Okay.
6 million jobs isn't bad over.
That's
over
incredible.
8 years.
Yeah, that's incredible.
So what's 6 divided by 8, Nick?
No. Because these are not each year they get them. This is over 8 years. 6 million jobs are going to be guaranteed for those. So
6 million jobs for an 8-year period.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I mean.
And that's incredible.
Okay. I mean, if that's the stats Business Insider's putting out.
And we won't know until it happens, but
Right.
it'll probably be somewhere in the ballpark. $300 billion is going toward water infrastructure, broadband, and electrical grids. And
So
more,
that's for sure going to create jobs. You need plumbers.
they're going to link electrical grids too.
Even in Texas?
Mm-hmm.
Texas is for like... can the feds mandate that?
They're gonna. Because that's kind of what caused that whole shit show down in Texas. They couldn't borrow power from the east or west seaboard. Couldn't do it.
Or the rest of the Midwest.
Yeah, they couldn't.
You know, we solve power. We take a corner of Utah that no one's fucking living in, making nothing but solar panels. So much square mileages. We proved it. We could power all of America.
I really would like to see the stats on that study.
Elon Musk did
The
it.
math would work. Nobody wants to do it though.
It's a lot. It's free power, essentially.
Yeah.
It's like how when Tesla
It's
wanted
like
to do
fucking Tesla. I was
Yeah.
about to fucking say
they wanted
it.
power free. Well, no one wants to do that because no one's making.
Did you know
money.
that they intentionally made light bulbs last less long?
Yeah. I sure as shit did.
It's like
That's-
phones. They're intentionally not supposed to last.
Yeah, they slow down your Wi-Fi so that way you upgrade to a new package,
Yep.
which is horseshit.
Did y'all see the new Apple is getting into cars? And the meme that's going around is like, so what's going to happen? It's going to be good for a year, and then the new car comes out, and it's going to go from, running at 60 miles an hour to like 3 miles an hour in a second.
That's hilarious.
It's like, well.
The tires are $1,000 a piece and are sold separately.
That's what they say, is that you buy the car,
Fucking hell.
because you buy the frame, then the cab, then the tires all separate.
So, water, broadband, and electric grid, that's for sure going to create jobs. You need plumbers, electricians,
Absolutely.
and cable people just to run the lines for broadband. Because, broadband is cable internet.
Yep.
And so I live in a rural area. My only option available is satellite internet. So just to understand how much that sucks.
Like dial-up. A little better than dial-up.
No, it's not quite that bad. I lived through dial-up. Don't come at me with that. So satellite internet, I pay $175 a month. I have a tippity top download speed of 50 megabits per second.
That's trash.
I never get above like 5. I am working from home most of the time. But, so it functions for that. On top of that, satellite internet has hard data limits. So after I reach my data limit, it slows that from 5 to a maximum of kilobytes. Kilobytes per second. Now, if you're not a computer person, which most people are, that you can't stream.
Can't do anything.
You can't do anything at kilobytes per second nowadays. Period.
Right.
So my internet just shuts off. Broadband is significantly better for significantly cheaper. For half the price I'm paying for satellite internet, I could get broadband internet if I lived in an area that serviced me for that's like twice as fast consistently.
Yeah, soon enough you'll get those fiber optics.
Not yet. Well, that's gonna be.
They're coming.
Anyway, I'm just saying, like, so broadband, I'm kind of behind, especially if you focus in rural areas, which I really think is the focus now. Even like so.
Well, I've seen the map of his plan. The plan is basically all of America, but most of the highway systems, red-blooded America.
I mean, that's good.
Like,
so rural highway development, it helps everybody.
mm-hmm.
I mean, so one, it expedites shipping.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, without it lowers costs for companies not having to maintain these diesels running. You know? And actually, you could do a lot for doing self-driving cars, which I'm not personally a fan of. But if you actually maintain these roads and keep them like nice and pristine, like the ones in California where they're like the AI is running fine on.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's possibilities there.
Yeah.
But specifically for this one, so like I said, the 300, but that's for sure going to create jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And good paying jobs too. Plumbers are well paid.
Mm-hmm.
Get you a fucking trade degree.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can't.
Absolutely. I mean, so America's infrastructure is kind of, it's not that we're bad. We're not like Somalia, right? We're outdated though. The highway system hasn't been really adjusted since we made it. We just kind of fixed the spots where it sucks.
So the thing is, in the United States, we leave most of highway development or maintenance to the states.
The states.
You don't. So even federal, even interstate highways, the section that's in your state is left to state to maintain.
Not always states. Sometimes counties.
Sometimes, counties are county roads. If it's an interstate, it is the state's responsibility.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's like I-40 and I-35. That is the state of Oklahoma's responsibility, not like Pot County or Oklahoma County or whatever.
God, I fucking hate Grady and McLean. Those are still fighting.
We live in Oklahoma and our roads are shit.
But yeah, I mean, we need to revamp all of this. Michigan, the entire state of Michigan is still using lead pipes from the 60s.
That explains Flint.
I mean, so hang on.
Lead pipes.
And see, that's bad. But shouldn't updated building codes change that in the state? It's like you can't use lead paint anymore.
Yeah, well, going forward, but this is like paint that has in this. And
so there are people buying houses from the 60s with lead pipes?
Are you not aware of what's been happening in Flint, Michigan over the past 4 years?
No, I'm aware, but why are people buying these houses with lead pipes?
They don't have much choice. All the fucking buildings. And it's not so much... So even if you bought a house without lead pipes, the system is built with lead pipes.
Oh.
This is a much bigger problem now.
That's why I have well water.
Well, not all of us
that lead
be...
gets in there sometimes.
And
dirt is a great filter.
It really is. But
once it's in that
the
water,
people of... I mean, specifically, the water infrastructure was meant to deal with places like Flint. Perry, Oklahoma has lead pipes in their system. There's 7 months out of the year, probably, it's undrinkable water. Water that will fucking kill your kids. It's got that much lead in it.
Dude, that's fucking awful.
And
this is the United States of America. We should not have a water problem.
Exactly. And I think that this will... if one thing stays in the bill, it should be the water.
So you want to see how bad it is? So Oklahoma has the most toxic town in America, with Pitcher, Oklahoma. So there was a lead and zinc mining operation, and you would take
that sounds about right.
You would take this sand. They had this sand that was nothing but full of lead and zinc.
It's called scat.
Mm-hmm. And it was free, basically. The mining company didn't care what you did, so they built houses, playgrounds, everything with it. And people were turning orange. They were turning different colors. They were developing cancer.
I want to be a Smurf.
And it's sand. They're building houses on it, so your foundation shifts.
I'm sorry, it's called chap piles. I misspoke.
And it's like, they got to the point where they had to force people to evacuate. You can't live there anymore. Because there's so much lead and zinc alone poisoning their water system. Wildlife is pretty much dead there.
Yeah.
Because it's like...
strip mining's got its consequences. Go electric vehicles.
So you can see how like that lead and zinc, lead especially, just fucks with everything.
So I think we can all agree kind of that this $300 billion is well spent.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So even really the most negotiable thing here is broadband internet. And while I could see the point of like we don't want to federalize the expansion of broadband internet, I think that's a huge boon to people.
It's better for everyone.
Again, for me, you save me $75 more than that if I only want internet as fast as my own. Like, that's a boon.
Good competition.
Especially in these post-COVID days where teleworking's a big deal. And teleworking's only going to get bigger. I'm telling you, companies have figured out how much money they can save. And
people learn how much they can save.
People are going to be seeking jobs that offer teleworking as a benefit now.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be on the rise.
There's always going to be jobs where you have to come in. Like, you can't be a hairdresser over Teams. Like, but I'm saying, like, this, I could probably get behind $300 billion to throw at this.
Okay. Now, it's 2-point-something trillion, all of it.
Yeah.
And it's probably going to be like an all or nothing type thing. But we'll get to that there at the end. For right now, we're just breaking down what each portion is meant for.
Okay.
So next, we've got another $300 billion for affordable housing and remodeling and upgrading schools.
I think that's good. You gotta update your schools.
Yeah. So the affordable housing, we do that pretty frequently. Every couple of decades, the government does that. Federally subsidized housing.
Build more
houses, and they're federally subsidized, so they make them affordable.
That's a long term, so it's not just this $300 billion. Then, if you're subsidizing it,
no, I think the $300 billion is in the subsidy. It's not just construction, because it's land that the Fed already owns,
and they're just building houses on it. I don't know. I suppose I could be behind that. Like, I'm against this bill as a whole, but we're just, like you said, we're discussing the parts of it. Like, affordable housing is a good thing.
It's gonna be to construct or rehabilitate 500,000 homes for low to middle income homeowners, and then the rest of the 100 and something billion would go to modernizing the schools.
I mean, so if there are still schools from the 60s with lead fucking pipes, like, let's get rid of that.
We need to change how we do school in general. How it's taught.
Oh, that's fucking fact.
We're still teaching how we did back in the Industrial Revolution.
Yeah.
When you work nothing but
building
factories.
you for a textile mill instead of...
Like, you sit down, you do what you're told, and you don't talk to no one, you just do your job like an assembly line.
So I found...
$100 billion isn't going to revamp the whole educational system.
Right.
We're talking about doing buildings.
Right.
Yeah.
Going back really quick to the broadband thing. So the idea behind the broadband is that if you establish free internet, basically, for the country, it's going to drive down the fucking cost of Wi-Fi. Because otherwise private companies can't compete. You know? And it's not going to be free. Like, you'll have to pay something to the government, kind of like your electric or your water. But it's going to be significantly less than if it was private. And so it's going to force private companies, not like at gunpoint, but if you want to stay in business, it's going to have to force them.
You want to keep your broadband in business, then
you're going to have to drive your prices down. That's the goal behind it. I really don't have a problem with the $100 billion for modernizing schools.
If I had to pick a poison, I'd pick that one in this part and drop the housing.
I'd pick the housing over the school.
So you would rather the money go to the housing?
Yeah, oh yeah. Because we're just modernizing the school, because it would create far more jobs building or rehabilitating the 500,000 homes.
Only 500,000 though. I don't. That's a lot of money for 500,000 homes
across the whole states.
So if you figure, hang on.
I don't know what the average home costs.
Let me get my calculator. So we're gonna call it $100K for an affordable house. You're not gonna get nothing fancy for $100K, even in Oklahoma. Okay.
Oh, well, I have found...
That's $50 billion.
Well, hold on. So the plan would be $213 billion to build, preserve, and retrofit more than 2 million affordable homes, but also construct or rehabilitate 500,000 homes.
Okay, so the money's going elsewhere too.
Okay, so it's going to around 2.5 million homes. That is a lot of
homes. But across the whole United States is not that much.
I mean, even if you...
Well, considering we only have 350 million people, and only 220 million people that are above the age of 18.
You're talking about roughly 1% of the population, right? Getting new homes?
Yeah.
That's pretty incredible. Plus, it's gonna move people out of cities and into suburbs. Which... Well, that's the only option that they have.
So
they can't do commercial development in Chicago. You know,
they can afford it, and the feds don't own land there.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
And if they do, they're not building affordable housing on it.
No,
football
they're
stadium.
leasing it.
Exactly.
They're fucking smart. I don't.
But it's gonna. So that's basically what the Fed has always done.
Public housing encroaching on the suburbs is just gonna make people flee to rural areas, and the suburbs are gonna become the new inner cities. That's how it's happened every time we've done it.
And that's a good thing.
I don't.
People moving out of cities into the suburbs? I think
Yeah, but then the suburbs become the inner cities, and people flee the suburbs, and then the inner cities' problems become the suburbs' problems. Like, the problems just move with the people. Does that make sense?
What problems?
Crime rates, lower education, lower funding for schools because they're low income.
The suburbs are low income.
People will leave the suburbs when high crime rates come back. Okay. Because you've got affordable housing.
Even though the suburbs are like one of the highest income brackets.
Yeah, but people will move to farther rural areas because they can afford to commute or they're teleworking, and now they have broadband.
And rural people are really known for their high income brackets, aren't they?
No.
Okay, so no to your arguments,
but
right?
There's less... Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm just saying every time we start moving people out of the inner cities to other areas, the people who were in those areas leave those areas. Because of the problems that people from the inner city are bringing with them. Drug and crime rates.
Okay. I don't know that that's necessarily backed by data.
Problems.
Because I think that for sure the suburbs are like what people like aspire to reach. Right?
I mean, people in cities, maybe.
No, I think even like
I don't want to live in the suburbs.
Yeah, you want to live like off the grid.
Yeah, I want to live in bumfuck.
But you also know you're not the average guy.
I'm the minority.
I like the
okay, there we go.
All right. Well, we can discuss housing movements and stuff later. I mean, it's hard to not be behind. Like I'm not dying on that hill. I'll put it like that. And that's for sure going to create more jobs.
Absolutely.
Construction crews. So these are not going to be high income jobs like the electricians and the plumbers and the broadband.
It's going to be construction jobs, though.
Yeah, but that's the same thing with the 621
you need
actual infrastructure.
Build a house as well.
Well, that's true. But the majority of jobs are going to be low income. Like they're going to be, but they're still going to be jobs. They're just lower income spectrum.
I don't know, man. They're going to be above $40-something thousand a year.
I doubt it.
That's going to be better than people. No, government union jobs. They're going to be good jobs.
Okay.
They're not going to be permanent, unfortunately. It's only an 8-year plan.
But you also get 8 years of experience if you sign up for one of these jobs,
true.
Which is invaluable.
And 8 years on a government contracted job like this, you can't buy that experience.
It's like when FDR did the TVA, created a lot of jobs, and you got the experience.
Yep. Another $580 billion for American manufacturing, R&D, and training. And specifically, this is to protect American intellectual property from China. I have not a single fucking problem with that whatsoever.
So, I would rather us not be paying for it because China's stolen a lot of bullshit from us. And we need to find out some way to stop it. But anytime China gets caught stealing from us, we're basically like, hey, they quit it. But, I mean, what can we do?
Right.
But, fuck.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. He's trying to incentivize producing in America, which is not something that...
It's easy to do because we don't have slave labor.
Yeah, well, the previous administration didn't help it at all. What?
I heard something interesting about slave labor today.
What was that?
Oh, God.
Coca-Cola and Nike fought a federal bill under Trump that would have penalized slave labor in China. It would have taxed them at a supremely higher rate in places in China where they use slave labor.
How true do you know this to be?
I mean, it was on the Daily Wire, I'm pretty sure.
Well, we'll have to see. But here's what I know. Here's what Donald Trump's policy was. That Biden plans to repeal to pay for this. It used to be, under the Trump administration's taxes, that if you left this country to manufacture somewhere else, like Mexico, like China, you were given your first 10% on your profit wasn't taxed.
So that's dumb.
That is dumb. He's going to repeal it. That's going to go... First of all, that won't even close to cover the cost of this bill, no. But it's going to marginally help. We can't get back what we lost over the 4 years. He also made it easier to manufacture in Mexico, where you don't have to pay workers as much.
Well, we had a better trade agreement with Mexico.
Better trade agreement for, definitely not the American manufacturer.
I don't know the details of the trade
agreement.
But most economists agree that it was a better than NAFTA deal.
Oh, it was greater for the American economy if you're looking at like GDP and like the stock market. But as far as like American workers, maybe not the most beneficial, because General Motors pulled out of Pennsylvania and Ohio. Those factories probably employed, between the two of them, close to 500,000 people. Pulled out in 4 years.
Damn.
Yep. Pennsylvania steel is slowly dying too. And it's not because they're running out of steel.
It's because China's selling it cheaper.
It's because China's selling it for nothing.
Mm-hmm. And, they're doing it to hurt us.
And there's no difference in the steel. I mean, we like to think that American made is better. There's really no material difference in the steel.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just true.
We just have to pay workers more.
Exactly.
Because we don't have weaker Muslims being slaves.
Exactly. No, that's exactly right. Getting rid. So trying to incentivize people to manufacture here, I have no problem with that.
So what? $580 billion for R&D, which I'm fine. Research and development on most fronts I'm okay with, because we need to advance technologically.
And protecting it. So whatever.
How are we going to protect it from China? And how is money going to solve that problem?
Honestly, we don't know, because at this point, we can only beat China on so many fronts at this point, because they've already stolen so much.
With a hammer.
They've already stolen so much of our technology. We don't really know what we're supposed to do. So we're trying to beat them in new areas.
Dude, I'll tell you what it is the Chinese government's bribing these people at your top universities to sell them their ideas when they develop them. So they send the blueprints to China before they develop it in the U.S.
There's nothing illegal with that.
No, there's not, but there's a huge scandal. It's a lack of patriotism. Nationalism.
We're a capitalist society.
That's true.
I don't know that there's definitely not like an ideological problem with that.
But if I developed a superior hydrogen bomb and I had plans for it, it would be treason for me to sell that to China. Treason. Mm-hmm. But for some reason, developing new technologies, it's not.
You got to give them a reason to. Well, it's not like we don't value stuff like that like we used to in America. We don't value American made as much as we used to, so there's really no incentive for the scientists, because it's not like the scientist is going to get fame over here. In China, they really do value that type of knowledge over there. And,
Chinese, they're engineers.
Mm-hmm. The emphasis on the R&D is going to be clean energy.
No.
That's the only area really left we can beat China on. And they're beating us. We have to catch up. But we can still beat them.
I don't know that it's a front. What's the benefit of beating them in clean energy?
Because that's the future. And it's going to be the future of jobs. And if we can educate our society on being able to be ready. So it's sort of like if you can't run a computer today or an iPhone, you're behind, right? In a number of ways. Getting a job, a whole bunch of ways. Clean energy is going to be the national level of that. Just like for us, no one knew how to drill oil for a long time like we did. And it gave us an edge money-wise. And not long after, we got the edge militarily. But, so green energy is supposed to be the next national scale of that. It's going to be the next oil.
I'm going to go ahead and say, like, what was the part about training?
Let me look. $100 billion for worker training and increase of worker protection systems. It sounds like...
Fine worker protection systems?
I don't know. I'm assuming union, maybe? Unemployment? I have no idea.
So that's 100. So we still got 480 billion going. Why is this being crammed in an infrastructure bill?
Probably so that way these jobs can't just be canned. If I had to guess, I have no idea, but that's $100 billion.
R&D is probably going to create jobs, high paying jobs.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Like, I don't. My little brother's passing out.
Mm-hmm.
My jaw just fucking hurts.
Why don't you go take?
Can't.
Oh, so we're recording this the same night as our. Wait, no, this is going to air first, isn't it?
Oh, I just thought of that. Okay. Yeah, well, next week you're in for a surprise, too. Because there's going to be a reference to my brother with his wisdom teeth. But that was a week prior. So don't think he had to have 2 surgeries. He just had to have the one.
I mean, he probably needs them for his face.
But he got his wisdom teeth taken out. And he's a little upset that he has to film this podcast. But he's smiling right now at me.
Wow. That's a weird smile.
And he gave me the bird. All right. Anyway, Nick, what do you think so far? You like it?
You want to look at it?
I like the water, the broadband, and the electrical grid the most.
I mean, so for sure, that's mine. Like I'm
so far, out of that, I like that, and after that, I have to go to the R&D.
Yeah.
So they're still writing the bill, like the specifics of it, but it's going to be within the confines of this. Does that make sense?
So it's not going to cost more than this.
It's the government. It's going to cost more than this, but it's not going to be by much. It's going to be close.
I mean, at least you can admit it. All right, so what's the next portion of this here?
That was it. That was the entire 2 trillion dollar bill.
So really, the only thing I could see for sure dropping is the $400 billion for elderly and disabled care. So, like, look, I'm not saying I don't want the elderly and disabled to have care. What's it doing in infrastructure?
Okay.
Like, it's got no place here other than you're just trying to cram in an expansion to Medicaid. And that's what I think he's doing.
Probably better houses. Or retirement homes
Better.
These elderly
You
people.
can't cover that in affordable housing, and...
So I think what he's trying to do is take care of the healthcare workers.
I think what he's trying to do is cram in an expansion to Medicaid.
Mm-hmm.
Fix the insulin first.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. We'll do a healthcare podcast, I'm sure, at some point on here.
Point. I don't know, our mom has kind of lost the right to come on the podcast now, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
So, do you have a problem with any... So if all of this got passed, would you be pissed about any of it?
I mean, I'm pissed about $400 billion going to something that's not infrastructure. Don't piss down my back and tell me it's raining. Which
I'm not pissed about it. I mean, I may have questions about it, but I'm not pissed about it. You know?
Yeah. I mean, that's fair. I'm not gonna be super pissed off.
So like, if you got everything else,
I'm gonna tell you my biggest qualm with this bill is we are in no fucking situation to be spending $2.3 trillion at all. Not after the past year and a half. Not like we have blown the look, and I'm not a budget hawk. I'm not trying to be one of those guys that's like, oh, spending. But $2.3 trillion after we've already spent. I think it's like at this point, I think it's like 4 times the federal budget.
We could get a better stimulus check
With all the fucking
the stimulus and stuff.
Stimuluses and everything like that. Like inflation is real. It happened in Greece. It's happened all over the world where suddenly the value of your dollar crashes and people are starving in the street.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not saying that's a immediate fear for Americans. But that's something we have to consider, is that inflation can happen. And with China owning as much debt of ours as they do, they can make it happen faster if we keep spending like jackasses.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we got to get this under control. And now, I know he's got the 28% corporate tax rate that he's planning on implementing to help pay for this.
Right.
Problem is, it's like we still don't have the money right now.
Yeah,
he's gonna want to.
That's not going to cover it, right?
Well, so it really depends on what his effective tax rate is. So
it'll go up about the same.
1%.
Hmm.
His effective tax rate will go up 1%.
I said about the same.
So it'll be about 28% as an effective tax rate. Or will it be about the same as Obama, who had a 27% tax rate and a 21% effective tax rate?
No, so Obama's was 35 official and around 21 effective. Trump's was 21 and it was around 12.
Yeah.
And which is nothing. They paid basically no.
They got
Some of them,
refunds.
Amazon paid nothing.
Yeah, well, Amazon got a refund this year.
Yep.
Which is part of the reason why I'm like, yeah, let's fucking raise some corporate taxes. But I know they're also, like, it's not just an increase to 28%.
The effective
It's closing,
rate.
it's closing offshore loopholes, which increases that effective tax rate.
Right.
Which is the effective tax rate, which is what you really need. Because that's how much you're actually fucking getting.
Exactly. But if you got to have all of this, do you think you could take the $400 billion thing?
Yeah, I could take that.
So you would vote in favor of the bill then?
Yeah. I would like to know more about the elderly stuff.
Keep in mind...
I would not vote for it. I would not vote for it right now. I can't. Not after all the spending we've blown the fuck out of.
And that's going to be what Republicans are going to say.
No, I'm just... Look, that's the facts to me. Like, look...
Well, I think you're sincere when you say that. And I think Rand Paul might be. But I don't know that Republicans are going to be sincere. They're going to say that. And their logic may be there, but I don't think their heart is there when they say it.
Well, you're making that's a bad faith argument. Like,
well, yeah, it's politicians. I'm sorry.
That's whatever. I'm just saying, like, me personally, it's not that I totally disagree with, like, if we weren't in the budget situation that we are, I could see myself maybe voting yes on it, but I can't. Another $2.3 trillion. Right after we just got done passing a $1.9 trillion stimulus bill this year, I can't do it. I can't do it.
Yeah, we didn't even get jack
shit
for that bill or the check.
No, you didn't. But like I said, I'm not one of these Republicans who's super budget hawk. Like, I'm not. Republicans blow out the spending just like Democrats.
I am for sure not a budget hawk, which is why I'm not even going to pretend to be one. And I see whenever I look at this, I see jobs. I see increased infrastructure. I see development. I see protecting American property, like true intellectual property. And I see, okay, I can vote for this. And Joe Manchin, the one who may ultimately decide all of this, who's now a Republican, he wanted a $4 trillion one. Joe Biden's arguing against himself here.
I know. Apex predator cocaine Mitch McConnell's going to get him in line if he's a Republican.
Well, I think so they're going to break down to each senator how many jobs this is going to create their state. Mm-hmm. It's going to be hard to say no. Because nothing gets you elected or unelected better than... Like an employed base.
You say that Trump didn't get reelected and he created so many jobs.
Well, Trump
he
also
lost
wouldn't
jobs.
Shut up.
Trump lost jobs due to COVID, unfortunately.
Okay. But anyone would
before
lost jobs.
COVID,
his jobs numbers weren't even that great. Unemployment was phenomenal. Biden's at that now, but he's creating even more jobs. He got the labor force out of the market, but he did over his 4-year term, technically, right? I mean, still lose jobs.
That's my stance. Like, I can understand why y'all would vote for it. I don't see a lot that I'm just outright going to disagree with in the bill. Mm-hmm. I just can't approve the funding.
Now, I want to know more about the elderly. Are we going to build them houses, special houses, since COVID's coming up?
No. So this is going to better their facilities. This is my understanding. Correct me if I'm wrong.
If you're going to do this, I'm in favor for making more beds since COVID because we ran out of ICU beds. I'm in favor of bettering buildings for capacity.
This has nothing to do with bettering hospitals.
Yeah, no, this is not a hospital bill.
So old folks' homes, they're going to better those facilities.
Good. I mean, you're old, you're
like
dying.
Hospice workers.
Yeah, hospice workers.
They're going to get a better wage.
Caregivers.
Probably rightfully so.
Being a hospice worker would be a hard job.
Yeah.
And they also have to have a high level of trust given the narcotics you're...
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, so like that when our grandmother was on hospice, literally the moment she died, they searched the whole house. Like no, the hospice nurse was there, but they had to confiscate every single. She was on a hospice morphine, which so if you ever been on morphine, it's great. Don't do it recreationally; it'll kill you.
It was meant to kill people.
Yeah, and they put you on hospice morphine, which is like fucking heroin, like it's illegal heroin, and all it does is just numb you. Well, they obviously when you pass and you no longer need the hospice, they fucking round that shit up like it's fucking heroin.
Oh, because you can get a lot of money for morphine.
Mm-hmm.
You get a lot of money, more than probably like cocaine.
I mean, I'd pay good money for fucking morphine. I do when I go to the fucking doctor. What's your pain at? 9. Ibuprofen? No.
No, if it's above a certain, I think it's a 6.
They have to take painkillers. Not anyway.
I mean. But honestly, like, I can't look at anything on this bill and I'm like, and I see the good that it all produces and I'm like, fuck it, we'll find a way to pay for it. You know?
I just don't want to.
Because here's the thing. So basically, if you gave this list to everybody in America, everyone would say, we'll take money out of it. Okay, they want basically all of this, but nobody wants to pay for it.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the question.
Well,
he has a couple of solutions to pay for it, and that's good.
Why don't make the argument that you made about canceling student debt? Someone's going to have to take it on the chin.
I mean, you did make that point, but I find that to be a little bit irrelevant right now.
No, someone's going to have to take this on the chin.
What's that?
I mean,
the national debt?
Paying for it.
I mean, that's my thing. I don't want to rush. Like, I would be much more comfortable. Let's implement his tax rate and let's wait a year. Let's wait a year and see what his effective tax rate is and how much income it actually brings in. And then we can talk about this. Not another $2.3 trillion. I ain't signing on to it.
And in the government, unfortunately, it's probably going to be now or never. So Mitch McConnell...
That's so dumb.
It's just kind of the rules that they live by. Mitch McConnell got one chance to repeal Obamacare. One. It didn't work. Never tried it again. Had the votes a couple of times. You really only get one shot.
So why are you doing it right now then? Why are you trying to push another $2.3 trillion?
He's trying to create jobs.
Is he worried that they're not going to be there when we should?
He's trying to revamp, and he's trying to, because this is like a hot thing now, right? I mean, whenever Amtrak showed that photo on Twitter of like what the new track would look like, I mean, Red America had to jizz in their fucking pants. It went right through the heart of America. It wasn't just going down the coast of California and Washington. It wasn't going down the East Coast. It went right through where we needed it to go.
Oklahoma?
Mm-hmm.
Monorails are great for small nations. We are a 3,300 mile country.
Europe is about the same size. We're a little bit bigger. Well, it's not my fault. You don't know how big Europe is.
Not UK. That's my bad. Apologies.
Okay. Anyway, so they've got all these railroads, and you can go. I mean, the same day you can go from Norway, which is a peninsula. You can go from Norway to Turkey in less than a day.
So,
well, there's a sea between.
They also have multiple.
That's what I'm saying.
They also have multiple countries paying for that.
Well, that would be they're no more richer than some of our richest states.
But not all of us it doesn't matter. bottom line on this one, like I said, I don't disagree with anything in the bill. I mean, I do disagree with the elderly and disabled and the expansion of Medicare being an infrastructure bill. But there's nothing in here that I outright just don't like.
Well, and keep in mind, it's $2 trillion over 8 years. They're paying this out over 8 years. So I mean, what's that come out to per year? Let's highball. Let's do $2.5 trillion over 8 years. Somebody talk while I'm doing math.
I don't know. That's obviously significantly less. I still just wait a year and see what your effective tax rate is.
$315 billion a year, roughly.
I'm gonna be straight. That's a drop in the budget. Like in the $4 trillion budget per year, that's a drop in the hat.
That's nothing. I didn't know it was that cheap. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm pretty fucking on board with this bill, Garrett.
Yeah.
Because you're talking.
That's really hard to argue.
Yeah.
Because I've done some math with a liberal buddy of mine, just discussing like ideas how we would how we would pay for universal health care if we decided to do it. And
universal health care would be expensive.
Yeah, we'll get into it on a different podcast because I've got the notes and shit.
I think it's impossible, to be honest with you. But go ahead anyway.
At $315 billion a year is a drop, like a titty drop.
It just occurred to me that it was over an 8-year period, and it's in all the headlines. I don't know why it just occurred to me, but versus the COVID bill, which was like what 1.9 right then.
Yeah. That's going to be hard to argue, especially when they lay out how many jobs this is going to create in rural America. So just the roads, just the railways, and the water and broadband and electrical grid, that's going to be mostly in rural areas.
God.
I hope they don't run Kamala.
Why?
Because she might win. Running off of Biden's agenda. But
nah, Biden's going for it again.
He says he's going for it again, but I don't know if I
no
believe
fucking
it.
way. He's going to be like 84,
Yeah, I
86.
But that's rounding thoughts on the bill. I mean, I think at that, I was okay. Just a one-time payment, 2-point-something trillion. I was okay with it then. Whenever you throw out the $315 billion, I'm fucking go time. I'm so ready. Nick, what about you? For $315 billion, for comparison, our military budget's about 5 times that.
Yeah, I could pass it. I could vote for this bill.
Yeah.
I would urge our senator to vote for it. I'm not gonna lie to you. Matter of fact, I might email him.
I'm gonna be straight. That's hard to argue against, man. $315 billion. We fucking find the money. I would get the money from Amazon myself.
Because the corporate tax rate may cover that.
Depending on what the effective tax rate. But when they state that he's going to do it 28%, it very specifically emphasizes they're going to close foreign money loopholes, which means like you can't ship your money to the Cayman Islands and get out of fucking taxes. Which,
yeah,
the fact that that's even a thing pisses me off.
Yeah, if you want someone,
me off, you see all these Amazon ads like "We're helping America." That's a tax write-off to them.
Mm-hmm.
The ads are?
No, so like you know how they're saying like we're helping fund this, fund that, because it's a tax write-off because it's like charity. So Amazon, the reason that they don't pay taxes is because they put so much into that.
Oh yeah, they have virtually no profit. They reinvest so much into their company because they're all about growth.
So that's going to be the other thing. You're running the risk that these companies are just going to start reinvesting their own money. The downside is you're reinvesting money into American companies.
That's exactly.
It's a win.
At one point, the highest corporate tax rate was around 70-something%, and companies were seriously like, dude, we'd rather just pay workers higher wages.
Yeah,
they're more productive. They buy our shit more.
And fuck you.
Yeah,
like fuck you taxing me at 70%.
Exactly. So that's it on the infrastructure bill. Now we're gonna go ahead and move on to the Georgia voting bill. Okay. So, Garrett, what do you got on that?
Oh, God. So, I don't know what all everybody's heard about this new Georgia law, but it's hilarious.
It is pretty funny.
Democrats are losing their fucking minds. Voter suppression, suppressing black vote, suppressing brown vote. Just off the top of my head, I got 2 quotes from Joe Biden comparing this voter law to Jim Crow. So one, he had the one in his press conference. This is what they're doing in Georgia makes Jim Crow look like Jim Eagle. Not sure what that means, but comparing it to Jim Crow laws. And oh shit, what was the other one? Damn it. Well, suffice it to say, he has compared this Georgia law to Jim Crow several times. And he's not the only Democrat doing it, but he is the president comparing it to Jim Crow. So, what I would like to do is address some of the main concerns. Or do you think I should just go over the whole bill?
What concerns?
So, the main concern is voter ID, voting hours, absentee, and for some reason the allowance of water and stuff to be given in line at these polling places.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to be the big 4 that everyone's focusing on.
They could be seen as bribes.
Absolutely. They could be. So, let's see here. This is a New York Times article. That is how I'm going to talk about a New York Times article. How confident I am that I am correct. That this is not Jim Crow. Here are the most significant changes to voting in the state as written in the new law. Voters will now have less time to request absentee ballots. Okay. Yep. Now, in Georgia, you can request an absentee ballot 78 days prior to the election and no later than 11 days prior to the election. So that is 67 days to request an absentee ballot. That seems pretty fucking reasonable to me. You have 67 days.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Does anyone have any... anything sounding, remotely like Jim Crow here yet?
Mm-mm.
All right. And let's see here. The new ID requirements. So,
For absentee ballot.
yes. So, you told me that in Georgia state law, they already require a voter ID
For in person. Mm-hmm.
They are making this law for absentee ballots as well. Now, a voter ID, this isn't a new form of ID. You just have to have a state ID or a driver's license. These IDs are given out for free in Georgia.
Well,
the state
IDs.
Yeah,
right.
The state IDs. You have to pay for a driver's license. But they are free to everyone. Doesn't sound like Jim Crow to me. I don't see any problem with it at all. I'm an advocate for voter identification. Let's see here. What was the other ones I was saying? Water in line. So, giving water in line, what Georgia has done is they have made it to where, so I supported Trump in 2020. If I got together with a bunch of other Trump supporters, and we all decide to bring water to the Atlanta polling place, we could have handed it out in full Trump get-up or whatever and handed it out to everyone waiting in line. Now, what that organization has to do, or that group of people, they donate it to that polling place, and the water has to be handed out by, what's the word I'm looking for? Unaffiliated poll workers.
Neutral.
Yeah, neutral. People who have no interest in which party you're voting for. So you can still get water while you're waiting in line.
Mm-hmm.
You just can't get it from people who are supporting a candidate.
Yeah, see, like, I
I think that's a good idea.
I have no problem with if you want to. So, like, people have done it for years. Souls to the polls. They buy. They not only do they drive to the pole together, they buy water and they hand it out to people. It's unconditional. It's. Do you really think that people are out there trying to sway people's votes for water?
I don't.
Is that a real concern to people?
That's fair. But I also don't see the harm in making sure it's handed out by unaffiliated parties.
I just think it's because the county can also decline to offer the water. They have the power to decline to offer the water.
Well, I mean, if you're declining people actual water, that's a different issue. But nothing in the law.
The law gives them the power to decline it, though. Is the issue?
Hang on a second.
And it's so a person non-affiliated. So like, is a person with a union shirt? Is that an affiliation? Is a pro Second Amendment shirt? Is that it doesn't define the term unaffiliated very clearly, and it doesn't mention that the person has to be a poll worker. The person can be so under the law. It's kind of mysterious on who can and can't give out water.
It's very vague,
and it's vague probably on purpose. And that's, I think, the biggest issue. So like Chris Wallace had a huge problem with it because he was like, "Well, is a dude in a Second Amendment T-shirt? Is that a political affiliation? What about a union shirt? Is that a political affiliation? Can he not hand out water? Do you just have to have a plain white T-shirt? We don't know because they didn't define the terms in the bill." So that's probably the only big contest I have with the bill, to be honest with you, and it's a very small issue. I think honestly this issue is getting blown into something bigger than it really is.
Yeah.
Now I get it. If you're in, I waited in line for 2 hours and I thought that was a long time. In these inner cities with 500,000 people, they're waiting in line for a day, for 8 hours. 6.5, 7, 8 hours. That's crazy. But what else you got?
Okay. So we've covered the ID. We've covered the absentee ballots. There's another portion for absentee ballots. It is now illegal for election officials to mail out absentee ballot applications to all voters. So you can't mail out applications for an absentee ballot to everyone on your voter registry. They have to request it. I do not see it. Again, you're given 67 days to request an absentee ballot. One, I don't think it's okay for these people just to send out absentee ballot applications to everyone. Like, that seems kind of dumb. Again, given the 67-day time period, you could request one for yourself. So I don't see a problem with that. Again, I don't see it as a form of vote. I don't see that as a form of voter suppression either. Now, I'm just to save everybody time, I don't see any of this as a form of voter suppression. And definitely not a systematic voter suppression of minorities. Because all these rules are going to apply to everybody.
There's a little bit I'm going to have a problem with, but we'll see.
Okay, so drop boxes for absentee ballots. So they exist, but barely, according to this New York Times article. There were, for the 2020 election, there were 94 drop boxes across the 4 counties that make up the metropolitan Atlanta area. So the new law would restrict that to 23 drop boxes.
That's dramatic.
That's a dramatic decrease.
Especially
why does it matter? You're just dropping off your absentee ballot.
Well, I understand why that may not seem like... So, you can have a county in Georgia with 1,000 people in it. So every county gets 1 drop box right now, right?
No, that was just they get 23 in those 4 counties.
Jeez. How many was there before you said?
94.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so we have... if you have counties that have like 1,000 people, still give them at least a drop box, right? But there's 1,000-something people in the county that vote.
Right.
This is not a big issue to them. Most of them mail in person because it takes them 20 minutes. some counties have 1 million people in Atlanta, right?
I'm not sure that it doesn't specify the populations, but
There's about 5 blue counties in all of Georgia, and they won the state based off those 5 counties.
yeah, so densely packed population.
So you may have, roughly, what is that? Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people for one drop box.
I mean, I would have to look up the population in Georgia.
That is the issue. It's going to be somewhere in that ballpark.
I still don't see. All you're doing is dropping off a ballot. Like, you are dropping it in a drop box and walking the fuck on.
Well, yeah, the evidence of this is that they have, 8-hour voting lines.
But 8-hour voting lines isn't in a drop box. That's at same-day voting.
The actual voting time takes about the same as a drop box.
How? You're dropping it off.
Mm-hmm.
I don't... Either way, like, I would have to look up the population of Atlanta and how many... You know what? Someone get their phone out. I want to figure this out real quick while I cover it. So what's the population of the Atlanta metropolitan area? The voting age population. Just out of curiosity. Oh.
How many did you say?
23 drop boxes.
Okay. In Fulton County, there's 500,000 that voted. In the other metropolitan area, about 400,000. Another 100,000.
All voted absentee?
We don't know. This is total votes. I have no idea how many voted absentee. But I mean, in general, I don't have a problem with the absentee ballots. If the county wanted to give more to the county, then I have no problem with that because that's what they did for COVID. I wouldn't. Does it restrict the number of drop-off boxes? Do you know?
I would have to find it again. Let me see.
But I mean, there's no reason hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people should have to share one drop-off box.
But may only establish additional drop boxes totaling the lesser of either one drop box for every 100,000 active. So it's approximately one for every 100,000 active registered voters in a county. Any additional drop boxes shall be evenly geographically distributed by population in the county. That is the terminology of the law.
That's something else. I know drop boxes and absentee ballots were a huge reason why Georgia went blue. It does seem to favor one side more than the other, don't you think?
I don't have that same information that absentee ballots were the reason Georgia turned blue.
How closely did you watch the election? Absentee ballots were going 70.
Non-stop. But Georgia
absentee ballots were going 70-20 to
in
Trump.
those absentee 70-20 in Trump's favor?
How could they go in Trump's favor?
You said 70-20 to Trump.
Well, I didn't. I mean, 70-28, and then a couple more for independent. But yeah, in Biden's favor, absentee ballots went.
Okay, that's fine, but only in those 4 counties, these strongly Democrat counties.
Mm-hmm. No, absentee across the state, for sure. Absentee across the country skewed Biden.
Yeah.
Because Trump didn't trust it.
Yeah. Well, I said don't vote. He said don't vote by absentee, and then he backtracked.
Yeah.
Anyway, I still do not view that restricting the number of drop boxes. I don't view that as a form of voter suppression.
Honestly,
you still have access to just go drop off your ballot.
I think they're trying to use this as more of a way to rile up Georgians to vote.
Yeah.
Because that's what Stacey Abrams did. She lost the governor's race. She spent every day making sure Georgians knew how to vote.
Yeah. Let's see here. mobile voting centers, think an RV where you can vote. So I'm thinking like mobile blood drives and stuff, something like that, where you can vote, are essentially banned. The superintendent of a county or the governing authority of a municipality shall have discretion to procure and provide portable or movable polling facilities of adequate size for any precinct. So it's not banned. Whoever has governing authority for that municipality gets to decide if you're having a mobile. So it's blatantly false, according to the wording of the law. And they quote to supplement the capacity of polling place where an emergency circumstances occur. I don't. How do you get that headline? How do you get that description from that?
They may say that it's practically taking it away.
That are essentially banned.
Mm-hmm. The wording is key, I think. But ultimately,
that's fucking asinine.
I'm more playing devil's advocate than anything. I don't think this is a huge voter suppression bill.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
I really don't. There's some stuff that I would, like not in the bill. Like the ballot boxes, they should probably be according to population.
Well, they are.
Well, that's not true because the counties that have... So every county gets at least one. That's according to the governor.
Right.
If a county doesn't have 100,000 voters in it, you still get one. So you could have,
99,999 voters and still only have one drop box.
Not even that. You could have 900 voters and they'd be like, okay, you still get a ballot drop-off box. Which it's like, okay, look, I get it.
You also have to vote in the county you're registered in. So they you have to have it dropped in your county.
But I'm just saying, I think we would get more use out of the drop-off box if you put it in the higher packed counties.
Okay. Offering food or water to voters waiting in line now risks misdemeanor charges. It's from the New York Times.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to read you the wording. No person shall solicit votes in any manner or by any means or method, nor shall any person distribute or display any campaign material, nor shall any person give, offer to give, or participate in the giving of any money or gifts, including but not limited to food and drink, to an elector, nor shall any person solicit signatures for any petition, nor shall any person other than election officials discharging their duties establish or set up any tables or booths on any day in which ballots are being cast. Mm-hmm. 1. Within 150 feet of the outer edge of any building within a polling place is established.
Yeah, so it's within 150 feet.
Right. Within any polling place, so inside the building. Or 3, within 25 feet of any voter standing in line to vote at any polling place. That's the key right there. So you can't do it within 25 feet of any voter. So if the line exceeds 150 feet, you still can't be within 25 feet of that voter.
Okay.
These restrictions shall not apply to conduct occurring in private offices or areas which cannot be seen or heard by such electors. The electors are the voters. This code section shall not be construed to prohibit a poll officer from distributing materials as required by law which are necessary for the purpose of instructing electors, or from distributing materials prepared by the Secretary of State which are designed solely for the purpose of encouraging voter participation in the election being conducted, or from making available self-service water from an unattended receptacle to an elector waiting in line to vote.
What?
Bullshit. The idea that people waiting in line to vote can't have water is bullshit.
Well, you should have heard the dude try to defend it to Chris Wallace, because Chris Wallace ain't no fucking Democrat, and Chris Wallace is like, he was having major issues with this specific part of the bill, and the dude really couldn't defend it. He said, no, they can bring water, and he said, yeah, but organizations have been doing this for a long time. And it was unconditional. It wasn't to sway your vote. It was,
common courtesy.
Exactly.
Okay. So, one, it's bullshit that you can't have water. But fine. Let's excise it from the bill. If it's really that big a deal, I don't think you're bribing anybody with water or food.
I don't think so either. Which is why I don't understand why it's in the bill to begin with.
Yeah, you said that you've been sitting in a line for, say, 6 hours. You're thirsty. Someone brings you water.
No, if I was sitting in line for 6 hours, I was dedicated who the fuck I was voting for. That's just facts to me.
It mentions nothing. So the New York Times article says they now risk misdemeanor charges. There's nothing in that wording that specifies that any charge be brought against you.
No, it's within the statute.
They didn't quote it. I read you the whole quote that they had.
Yes, you understand that they don't necessarily name the penalty within the law.
Okay,
all right.
If you go to the wrong polling place, it will be even harder to vote, even in parentheses. So if you go to the wrong polling place, so like if I live in Pot County, if I came to Grady County to vote, or I went to Oklahoma County to vote, or Tulsa County to vote, you're not supposed to be able to vote in those counties.
Mm-hmm.
You have to vote in the county you live in. It will now be even harder. I'm not super familiar with Georgia state law. I assume the same voting regulations are there. So that doesn't make any sense to me. You shouldn't be allowed to vote in a county you don't live in.
Mm-hmm.
Or a wrong polling place. If that makes no sense to me. If election problems arise, a common occurrence, it is now more difficult to extend voting hours. Define more difficult. Poll hours at a precinct may be extended only by order of a judge of the Superior Court of that county. Any order extending poll hours at a precinct beyond 9 p.m. shall be by written order with specific findings and facts.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're going to extend it beyond polling hours, you need a Superior Court judge. And if you just extend it beyond 9 p.m., you have to justify it. I don't see a problem with that at all.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here.
I think the biggest reason why people are frustrated with the bill was for sure the water one, which, I don't know why it was in there, but whatever. And then the voter ID one riled some people up, but like I said, I really think, so from this standpoint of, I think the Democrats are trying to piss off voters so that way they're determined to vote.
And that seems to be the most, because this is for sure not fucking Jim Crow.
It's at least it's a decent explanation of it. Because if the hardest thing you can come after this vote for is that it's not allowing people to give water and food at the polls, is it really Jim Crow?
Yeah. Honestly, you've got the President of the United States who lived through Jim Crow law. Comparing this to Jim Crow, that's ridiculous to me. Mm-hmm. And other people in his party backing that play, that's preposterous.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even kind of equatable to me.
Yeah, I think the words of the president are extremely important. Because I think people look up to his words on both sides, and they take that information and they make decisions based off of it. And I think for that reason, it is his duty to either speak from truth or speak from sincerity. And I don't know that comparing it to Jim Crow is necessarily a good idea.
I don't see how a person of, I'm not going to attack Biden's mental stability right now. I will later. But I don't see how a reasonable person looks at this and is like, well, that's Jim Crow. No. You're fucking stupid.
Mm-hmm.
We'll
see what the effect of it is. Who knows? So maybe the effect of this bill. So what happens in 2022 if Georgia comes out and it's red 10 years ago red? And we know that's not the true demographic of the state.
So then you either have people who didn't vote.
Right, but we know that the demographic of the state is about as split as the country.
Like 50-50.
Yeah.
51-50.
Yeah.
51-49.
No, it's such a small number of people, it's 50-50.
Yeah.
It's like 50.001 to point...
49.999.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, that's how split the state is. So if you were rounding it, it would be 50%.
You also have to account for independence, though.
That's true. But what happens if...
If it's a 60-40?
Do what?
If it's a 60-40? So 60% Republican in 2022 and 40% Democrat.
Yeah. So
first you look at voter turnout.
Well, what I'm saying is, so like, what if the effect of this is not what we're thinking? What if they're right? What if it really kills turnout? You know?
I mean, so there's a lot of things that could kill turnout. So, I mean, midterms are notoriously...
We could even compare it to last midterms, to be honest with you. But, like, just go with the assumption that these laws kill turnout.
I mean, I don't see why these laws would kill turnout, though.
I mean, even if the answer is not necessarily clear, I mean, we could see the results and we can't question them, right?
Yeah, but you can't. You can't assume correlation where it doesn't show any. Mm-hmm. Like, so one again.
Well, there is a half of this discussion that is saying that this is voter suppression, and if the data proves them right, you know, like. But
there are several reasons why turnout during a midterm would be different than during a presidential election.
We could also compare it to other states too.
But what's happening in one state doesn't necessarily translate. Even Georgia to Florida. Mm-hmm. Like I don't see.
Well, we as a nation generally turn out as a whole.
You can't see a lesser turnout in Georgia compared to like from 2020 to 2022. If there's a lesser turnout in 2022, you can't see that and be like, see, it's Georgia's election law. There are several factors you have to look into. Mm-hmm. Like, one, how enthused are voters? How pissed off are voters? Mm-hmm. Which I guess is the same thing. But how many independents swung the other way? Mm-hmm. Like, there's several different variables you could look at, and there is nothing in this law that's suppressing the vote. Mm-hmm. 67 days for an absentee ballot. That seems highly fucking reasonable.
What was it before? Do you know?
I don't know. So I don't think there was a minimum deadline. I think you could request one all the way up till election day. But But I think New York Times is going to tell me what it was.
So if
180 days.
Oh my God, that's a third. They cut it by 2/3. I mean, that might be voter suppression.
That's not fucking...
Do what now?
Yeah. 67 days...
I mean, you can make the argument that 67 days is enough, but I mean, by definition, that would be voter suppression, would it not?
How?
No.
Limiting the number of days you could vote would not be voter suppression?
Because it's still early voting. You still have 11 other days to vote in person. These laws on the books are less strict than New Jersey.
Now, how on earth did they gauge that?
Governor Kemp came out and said, like, he made a comparison on national TV between the absentee voting, the drop box voting, the in-person voting. He's like, this is our new law. This is New Jersey's law. This is our new law. This is New Jersey's law. And it's literally...
I'm saying
better than New Jersey and Delaware.
He cut the days by 2/3.
How is that voter suppression? Because it's early voting. You can still... I don't understand.
How is cutting the time you can vote voter suppression? I have no idea. Like, you understand? Like,
that's ridiculous. You have 67 days. It's 67. Does it take you 67 days to fill out a piece of paper?
It does not.
Then why is it voter suppression?
Because you cut the time frame someone has to vote by 2/3. That by definition, right? By definition.
No, voter suppression is when I am suppressed. No. That is not what voter suppression means.
Then
Giving
what
you
is
a
voter
stricter
suppression?
time frame is not voter suppression.
Give me a definition of voter suppression.
I'm telling you, you can't vote.
Period.
Yeah.
Okay. How? So
By-
Garrett Wiedemann is saying to another citizen you can't vote. Like, give me. You're gonna have to give me a better
Yeah, a
definition.
governing official is saying you cannot vote, period.
Okay. So he's saying it. Is his words
It's
authoritative? Okay. All right. So like a legislative document
That says you cannot vote, period.
that is meant to lower turnout, or
This
figure
isn't
out.
meant to lower turnout.
I didn't say it was. I'm trying to establish a definition that we can work from right now. Don't be hopping all over the
Here's
place.
an
We're
easy
trying
one.
Let's just get the Webster's dictionary version of suppression. Then we can go from there.
Taking a literacy test. There you go.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so that's voter suppression, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
A literacy test.
But restricting the days, like we've always... A timeline to vote is important. Correct?
Mhm.
I should not be able to now cast a ballot in the 2020 election.
Right.
Because that is stupid.
So
Now, personally, I don't think I should be able to cast a ballot in 2019.
So it was
for the 2020
my
election.
it was my understanding that it was the same window of time. They have just shifted the window to where the end is on election day.
This is just the requests.
So not
These
only
are the requests for the absentee ballots, not when
Okay.
they are getting counted.
okay, but the request time has cut by 2/3.
Yes.
You have a 2-month window.
From 180 to 67. Wait. No, it'd be slightly less than 180. Like 169 to
Okay.
67.
So roughly they cut it by 2/3. That's
I don't understand how that's voter suppression. I don't.
they cut the timeline to register. is
So
what it
if
is.
your teacher,
But it's not to register, it's to request an absentee ballot.
Mhm.
That's not registering to vote. That's
I didn't say it was registering to vote, did I?
You said register.
For the absentee.
I don't explain to me explain to me without saying by cutting the timeline how this is voter suppression.
Okay, so I would define voter suppression as any legislative document that is made to lower the turnout of an election.
I don't think this is made to lower the turnout.
That's what the effect is, isn't it?
No, we don't know that.
Yes, we do.
No, we don't.
Yes, we do.
How?
If you have... I mean, I can give you, like, the real answer. The real answer is with the 2/3 window, more people are going to register for the absentee ballot, right?
Maybe. Or maybe everyone just registers in the smaller window. You have the same number of people registering within the 67 days.
I don't even think you believe that's true.
I do believe that's true. Why wouldn't you? I don't understand. I legit, this is either... I'm not a stupid person, but this is either going over my head or
I mean, it's really not that hard to
I don't
get.
think
Like,
you
I'm
believe
not...
this is voter suppression at all.
I necessarily don't, but at the same time, like, it meets the definition of voter suppression.
I don't
No,
think it does
this is
at
not
all.
keeping anyone from voting.
So the drop boxes would, in theory, do it, right?
No, you can still vote.
But
Yeah, you can
sticking
still-
with the
nothing's
absentee
preventing
ballot,
people from
I think
voting.
what they're trying to do is the Georgian, like the Republicans in Georgia, they're trying to. They saw what happened in 2020. They got their asses handed to them all across the state. It wasn't just on the federal level. They saw
Do you
that.
think they're using this legislation to try to shore up a more definitive Republican majority in Georgia?
That may be a potential.
That is ridiculous. That is a bad faith argument.
Well, this is not preventing anyone from
You
voting.
George-
are assuming malice on the part of Georgian Republicans right now.
It is it's not like Georgia's, just known for, standing up against voter suppression. They're a deep South state.
This is 2021.
This nothing in this prevents you from voting at all. You can still vote. There's nothing that's saying suppressing you. It's whether you want to do it or not.
You have
This
a
isn't-
67-day window.
This,
You know how long?
this isn't deep South like it used to be, where if you didn't know how to read and write,
Right,
or
but
you
but
weren't
you're
white,
you're
you can't
misunderstanding the position, right?
I have 30 days to apply for a draw hunt elk tag in Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
why should anyone be double the time to request an absentee ballot? Do you know how many people enter into these draw hunts? Like fucking every hunter in Oklahoma.
Well, I got this. All right, you have 2 projects from your teacher. One of them you have, let's say, 6 months to do it.
God damn it. Y'all are turning me into AOC. I'm not saying anything unreasonable
You're
here.
saying this is voter suppression.
Dude, this is
clearly
you're
not.
calling this voter suppression and it's not. That's unreasonable.
I'm saying, okay, so this is a misunderstanding. Okay, so y'all
Said
are
it
turning
was-
me into AOC whenever I was trying to be like, like Tucker Carlson or something. I was trying to be Chris Wallace on this bill, and I really am, but you guys are misunderstanding definitions and terms. Okay?
No,
So
I
We just don't
think-
define them the same way. That's
You're
why I
right.
said let's use the Webster dictionary.
let me try and explain it this way. Okay, so we have a window of time. Let's say it's 100 days. Keep the numbers nice and simple. And that was the original amount to vote, right?
Okay.
100 days is plenty of time. And then somebody comes along, he's the governor of the state, and he says, you know what? We don't need 100 days. 50 days is plenty of time.
Okay.
Everyone says, 50 days is quite a lot of time. Like, it's not unreasonable. He could be right. 50 days is a lot of time to vote, right? But it's still, you shrink the window in half, right?
But you're assuming
This is
that-
only for absentee ballots.
And we'll find out very, very quickly if this is going to decrease the turnout. It more than likely will.
you won't, because there are several different variables you have to look at for turnout, especially during a midterm.
Okay, again, misunderstanding of my position. I'm not saying this is the only thing that's going to decrease turnout.
But you're saying any indication.
I didn't
lesser
say
turnout.
that. I did not say that.
You did.
That's what you're implying.
I'm saying this is going to contribute to lesser turnout.
How?
So that's a
How?
God damn it! What's it? You can't be wrong. You can't be wrong because all you have
Absolutely,
to do
I
is
could.
no. All you have
Absolutely,
to
I
do is
could.
look at what will happen is you'll look at the voter turnout for Georgia in the midterms and you'll be like, okay, it's slightly lower. Prove to me that wasn't caused by this new Georgia bill, and no one can prove to you that it's not either unenthused voters, not at 100% level. With no certainty, so you're going to be able to look at that. And
We
say,
can't
no,
prove
there's lower
anything
turnout.
with absolute certainty. But what I'm saying is, so if the vote out is, millions of votes shorter on one side of the political aisle, I don't think they just, weren't enthused to go vote
So
compared to the last midterms.
Approximately what percentage of the United States is independent?
I'll ask a big question. What is preventing people from doing absentee ballots? From that,
Do what?
From that bill, what is preventing people from voting in absentee ballots?
I don't know.
Is it
I
nothing?
don't think so. I don't think there's
So if
anything.
it's nothing, that's no voter suppression. Voter suppression is preventing people from voting through laws. This isn't preventing them from voting. Ergo, it can't be
It's just
voter
restrict-
suppression.
It's just restricting a timeline.
By the definition of voter suppression, it's
Yeah,
preventing
that's what I'm
you
saying.
from
So
voting.
constricting the timeline by definition is still voter suppression.
It's not.
No,
It's,
it's
not.
Even if it's reasonable,
It's
is
not.
what I'm
That's
saying.
not the definition of voter suppression. It's not. You're trying to make up a
If
new
it's-
definition.
If it's, I'm really not.
You are. You're saying it's voter suppression when it's clearly
I thought the
not.
analogy would work. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I thought the analogy would
This-
work.
Dude, there's no way.
Just
you're gonna
because-
Wait,
make
don't
it.
turn me into AOC.
You're turning yourself into AOC. Is the problem, Wyatt?
No, you.
No, he's trying.
This is-
So he's already said that he doesn't think this bill is voter suppression. But he's trying. But what I don't understand is how you can say that and then say that restricting the timeline is voter suppression. I don't.
Because I
don't-
still think it's reasonable. This is the part that you
I
guys
don't.
But it's
aren't
not
listening
the,
to me.
It's not the definition of voter
I think it's
suppression.
reasonable for 66 days. Are we fucking clear on that? Okay?
So you think?
But it's still voter suppression because you shrunk the window.
But
But
it's
I
not-
still support it because it's 66 fucking days.
But it's
Jesus
not-
Christ.
but it's not
Am I
voter
speaking in
suppression.
fucking Spanish? Will you two just shut the fuck up? Open your ears. Jesus.
Would you listen to the
Read.
definition?
Jesus Christ. I'm not trying to
No, no.
explain the
So
fucking...
hang on. So by your words just now, you support voter suppression.
I'm saying, like, this is technically voter suppression, yes.
No, it's not.
And you
It's
still
not.
and you still support it.
By
Right.
definition.
I also don't think murderers should get a vote. That's voter suppression. Like it or not, that's the facts, okay?
Someone needs to Google.
It's
the
the
actual.
it's the
You know what?
spectrum.
You know what?
Voter suppression is on a spectrum. I don't think felons should
Why
vote
is
either.
everything on the spectrum for the left? Like, not everything is a spectrum.
What do you mean?
Like, so gender's not a spectrum.
voter suppression. You're either stopping people from voting or
No,
you're not.
no. That's too black and white. It's not either no one gets to vote except a small group of people or everyone gets to vote. No, we are on a spectrum, I promise. Okay? It is who gets to vote. Why do the people who don't get to vote not get to vote? It used to be because they were black. It is no longer that. It is now because, well, and
You're felons.
You're felons. Some other reason, right?
So here, this is what we got heated, but I cannot wrap my head around why you are calling it voter suppression. I can't. Like, I don't like Nick said, nothing in this is stopping. So voter suppression to me is I am actively stopping.
Nothing just discourages you or prevents you from voting.
Okay.
That is the definition of voter suppression. So if it doesn't
When
fit
you
that definition,
shrink the window,
why? If I said the definition of
It's not
running,
preventing anyone from voting.
the opportunity is still there to a lesser degree. So do you see how you shrunk the opportunity?
See, this is how
but that's not
the
preventing you or discouraging you from voting.
I'm not trying to weasel the word in there. I'm
You
just
are.
saying according to the definition and the
really,
terms we
like,
agreed
so
upon.
It really
But
feels like
that's not the definition of voter suppression. That's like saying, the definition
I
of
gave you
running
my-
is not walking, but you're saying, but if you walk, you're running. No, you're not. There's a definition of running and walking, and you're trying to fucking mix
What are
it.
you on about?
I'm saying the definition of voter suppression
definition
is not
of-
fit this, and you're saying it does. You're wrong. You just won't fucking admit it.
Even the Washington Post says that it got Biden 4 Pinocchios for calling this voter suppression. Like, I cannot.
It's not Jim Crow.
It's not voter suppression, period.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to. I don't think so. I don't think restricting your timelines is voter suppression.
Okay.
Unless I am actively preventing you from voting.
So you understand there is reasonable voter suppression, right? We all understand that. Do you think murderers should be allowed to vote, Nick?
No.
So are you for voter suppression? Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah.
Okay. So there we go, right?
You see, that's preventing people from voting. Well, this is not preventing you at all, or discouraging you to vote.
This is taking
So I
away
think
the opportunity. This
No, it's
is
not.
what's not being heard.
No.
It's
You still
not.
have the opportunity to vote.
Not
You just don't have much
completely.
not.
You don't understand. So it'd be like, okay, we're selling Xboxes, but only on this day.
No, it'd be like,
Well, no, you didn't.
No, it's like you're
You
pre-ordering
didn't
an
take
Xbox,
away-
but you have this amount of time.
You didn't take away the time. Exactly. And is that not limiting the
You-
supply
you
of
know- you know-
Xboxes?
what-
Because
you
an
know-
economist will
what-
tell you yes.
Wow, you know what can happen? You know what happens 11 weeks later? You can buy an Xbox still. You still can.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
Son of a bitch!
This isn't
But
this isn't a productive conversation anymore.
Yeah, this is
So
turning
we've gotten way off. So I think the problem here is voter suppression is used really liberally in modern politics. And I think we have different definitions of what voter suppression is. So to me, voter suppression is black and white. If I'm not actively or legislatively stopping you from voting, I am not suppressing your vote.
Okay.
If I am not telling you your vote does not count,
Okay.
I am not suppressing your vote. That is why
here's
nothing.
the problem. You can't have an opinion on a definition.
Well,
You can't. It's defined. Like a word is defined. You can't have
as
an opinion.
what it is,
You can't have an opinion on it.
and
So-
I'm gonna I still disagree with your interpretation of the words voter suppression.
Mm-hmm.
You're arguing that a definition isn't the definition.
Who made that argument?
You did. By saying it's voter suppression when by definition it doesn't fit voter
It's
suppression.
not- yeah.
It's because of misunderstanding of the interpretation, but this is, like Garrett said, this is not a productive conversation. You guys are turning me into AOC, and I just can't deal with it. I just
doing
can't.
it to
I just
yourself.
can't.
How
do
am I
it.
turning?
You're
you
doing
into
it to
this?
yourself.
Because y'all are acting like I'm comparing it to Jim Crow. I've admitted several times it's not Jim Crow.
So when you
It's voter suppression. I'm acceptable with. I've even
But
said.
it's not
Right.
voter suppression, period.
So this is from a misunderstanding of my position, Nick. That you're getting
that's
riled up.
that's the thing. It's not.
The problem is you're calling it voter suppression when it's clearly not.
If you
I'm not
wanna-
even trying to play the fence here. I'm just admitting that by
So is it
by,
vo-
by the
is
way
it-
I
is
understand
it
the
voter
definition. You got to let me
suppression?
finish. By the way I understand the definition. That's still voter suppression. It's just voter suppression that I'm okay with. Just like I don't think murderers should vote.
So felony, like outlawing felons to vote, I could see as being voter suppression because I am telling you, you cannot vote.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not in this law. I'm not telling anyone they cannot vote.
Who's this
So
preventing
I do
voting?
not see this as voter.
Who does this prevent
hang
to
on.
vote?
We're done with this.
Yeah, no,
We're
this
talking
is,
in circles. We
this is-
keep bringing up
no
the same
one-
points.
I am talking. There
I think
is
we just
no
have
listening.
different-
You're
And
arguing a
there's
definition.
nothing
I am
going
really-
productive on here.
I'm really trying to listen to you, dude, and I think Nick is too. I just think we just don't. I'm not gonna get on the same wavelength with what voter suppression is.
Yeah, there
You're
is.
arguing a definition is the problem.
I mean, I gave you the definition. We're done.
But I gave
We're
you the
done.
definition of
We're
it.
going to move on to something else. We're all in favor of the bill? Yes?
I mean, I don't see what the hubbub is.
I don't oppose
I
the
don't-
bill.
yeah, no.
Like I said, I really don't think. I think the bigger issue is that they're trying to rile up Democratic voters to vote in the midterms in Georgia because they have another Senate election coming up.
So the consensus on is both. It's not that, but it is. Democrats are pissed off because this is active. Like we're fighting HR1, so they're planning to take this case to the Supreme Court, saying that no, it's an implied power of the states to control elections. You can't federally mandate it if they pass HR1. That is the 4D chess model that's going on. I could see that. They're planning ahead for HR1 passing.
Mm-hmm.
We can discuss that when the Supreme Court gets it. If the Supreme Court gets it, if HR1 passes, if. I for sure do not see why this has gotten blown up the way it has. And I for sure, just to reiterate, I don't think anyone here would call this Jim Crow level voter suppression. Like this is an outrageous claim that is totally unwarranted. Right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is not systemic racism. Unlike
You want to know what is?
Nick's gonna tell us about.
Alright, this is something that hasn't been widely talked about yet. So, have y'all seen any major news stations covering this at all?
Mm-mm.
No, honestly, when you said Oakland, I had no fucking idea.
Sweet. So this is by CBS News, which... credible.
I mean, if you want to call CBS credible.
So, the mayor of Oakland... So, if you're a family in Oakland who lives in poverty, you get $500 monthly. Except if you're white. This only applies to people of color. And you can do what you want with this money. There is no rules how you have to spend it or anything. It's called guarantee. It's an experiment with guaranteed income. That is racist.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, I would actually change. This is privately funded, correct?
I believe yes. I believe so.
Then it's not systemic racism. Systemic is legislated racism.
Mm-hmm.
This is not, but this is for sure fucking racist. Like, so if I went to my township and I said, I'm gonna give everyone $500, but only if you're white.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think that would be received?
Right.
Like, whether it's my private money or not, I mean, people will rightfully call you a piece of shit because you're being racist.
Mm-hmm.
That's asinine to me.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me at all. Like, I don't understand why someone would... I mean, I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
Thing is, you're not even setting income levels. So, I mean, Oakland.
It just specifies low-income households.
Right. But only if you're minority.
Yes.
That's fucking... I don't think anyone would call that anything but racist.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and now it's private money.
I'm trying to see who privately is funding this.
I thought you said earlier it was the mayor.
I think it is, but it's not telling
I
me.
mean, if
it's not telling me for sure who it is. It's just the mayor's pushing for it.
Right. If it's publicly funded, I have a much larger issue with this now. Like, this has gone from, okay, you're a piece of shit person or group, to you've passed systemic racism. Like that's two very different things, in my mind.
It's a collaboration between Oakland-based nonprofit Family Independence Innovations and Mayors for the Guaranteed Income. So it's an alliance of mayors.
Okay. So it's an alliance of elected officials with private money and a nonprofit organization.
So it's an alliance of mayors pushing the federal government to provide cash to Americans to cover basic needs.
No, not Americans. Minorities.
Those are
different.
they're still Americans.
No, they're still Americans. But when you say Americans, you mean
so
everyone,
all families of
not...
colors with at least one child under the age of 18, income below 50% of the area median income, about $59,000 per family.
Below the median income?
Below the median income, about $59,000 per year for a family of 3. Can apply for a monthly of $500.
$60K for a family of 3, which is a dad, a mom, and a kid. Well, let's assume a dad, a mom, and a kid. Probably a mom and 2 kids. But
the families are selected randomly.
So it's a lottery?
Yeah. Usually many
but only minorities are eligible? Nick staring confidently at his phone as he learns more.
I mean,
I don't
so
think...
if the mayors are pushing for this, is this systemic?
No. Systemic means legislated.
So they're calling this an experiment, is the problem. To see how it helps people.
I don't see anything wrong. My big problem with it is it's racist.
Yeah.
Like, if you're... White people that meet that criteria should also be entered in the lottery.
Yeah.
I don't think the lottery the lottery aspect of it has much to do with it. I think it's that you're only entering minority families into it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And again, like, that makes you a piece of shit.
Yeah.
But it doesn't make it systemic. Systemic would be like Oakland passes a municipal law that only black people can receive food stamps.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, well, that's fucking systemic racism. Because, there are hungry white folk out there, too. Now, I do find it odd that the median income... So, I'm not... Oakland, California?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's California. The median income probably is higher than it is here in Oklahoma. Because there's $60K a year for a family of 3. I mean, I can almost sustain my family with $60K a year. That's just what I make. The big problem here is that you are discriminating by race.
It's not getting any coverage either.
That's another, like a lot of major news networks aren't covering it. Now, I also don't watch a lot of mainstream news because I get sick of it. Like, so I can't watch Laura Ingraham. I can't. I've tried, and I can't. I can't watch CNN. I can't. Daytime news isn't so bad. Primetime CNN is, they got Don Lemon and Cuomo, and I'd rather blow my brains out over the bathroom wall. Hashtag Don Lemon, go fuck himself. Or go fuck Anderson Cooper, whichever one he'd prefer.
I'll tell you which one Anderson Cooper would prefer. But...
God, there was a time where... I think I've talked about this before. I know this is kind of off topic, but Anderson Cooper as a moderator is different than Anderson Cooper on CNN. So I can't stand Anderson Cooper on CNN. Can't do it. Anderson Cooper as a moderator is actually pretty okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like, fuck that second debate with Trump and Biden. I can't remember who that... She was from MSNBC, though. And I was going into that debate like, fuck... Trump's going to get eaten a lot. And she gave him the fairest shake of any... I think she gave him a fairer shake than Chris Wallace. Which Chris Wallace's hands were kind of tied because Trump wouldn't shut the fuck up.
Mm-hmm.
Story of Donald Trump's life. But... Anyway, that's off topic.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this thing with Oakland, it's not being covered. Oh! This is another way the fuck off topic, but I also haven't seen a lot of coverage. Nation of Islam guy drove through the barricade at the Capitol. Was shot on scene. Did you know that?
Mm-mm.
Yeah. You know why you didn't know that?
Because it was taken care of.
Because he wasn't a Trump supporter. Drove a car through the barricade and was shot. Rightfully so. Honestly, I don't think there should be barricades up. I don't know what the fucking problem is. But
maybe the riot that happened.
Mm-hmm.
well, yeah, that's
Maybe the attempted
fucking
overthrow.
3 months ago.
Garrett, do you still want to take that chance?
I have problems with our
the
federal government
funny
blocking themselves off.
See, the funny thing about treason, it can happen at any time.
Mm-hmm.
That was true before the riots.
Yeah.
Right.
But now that after the riots happened,
why do we still have armed military personnel surrounding a barricade around the Capitol
to prevent more riots?
Because about a quarter of this country is batshit crazy.
Okay, back on topic. So this is clearly racist. It's clear.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's gonna argue against it. Like, it's just shocking. Like, no one's heard about it. And
No.
you need to Google, Nick. Do you have the actual what they should Google to find out more about this?
Yeah, you really just have to Google Oakland, California, $500 a month, and it's the first thing that's going to come up is this new thing.
That's fucking crazy.
It is crazy.
Like, I can't imagine a world where this is
Just imagine if the roles were
reasonably
reversed.
acceptable.
If they were reversed,
Absolutely.
how much coverage this would give,
Mm-hmm.
privately or funded by the
Yeah,
state.
absolutely. If the Koch brothers came out and said, we're going to give $500 to everyone in bumfuck Oklahoma, but only if you're white, they'd have shat all over.
Mm-hmm.
And
probably only gonna
rightfully so.
Probably gonna only find white guys in bumfuck Oklahoma.
Well, I mean, it is bumfuck Oklahoma.
Yeah, it's back the way it came.
I'm just saying, like Nick said, if you reverse this and make it to where only white families are getting the payments, and I think a lot of outrage is everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I wouldn't be mad if you just added them to the lottery.
And that's what pisses me off. Yeah, just include them in the lottery.
Now, if you get 100% of minorities, I'm gonna call some cheeky stuff.
No, considering they're the minority, yeah, but
It's like,
it's a lottery. Like, the problem is you're not even giving them a shot.
no, you're not giving them a chance to
Mm-hmm.
It's
get
just
better.
Well, all right. So wrapping things up, infrastructure bill.
Nope, we still got one more.
Oh fuck.
Oh, is it late? What the hell are you doing?
It's Matt Gaetz.
I don't know who he is, but apparently he fucks 17-year-olds across state lines.
Now, how old is he when he did this?
He's
enough.
38.
I saw a meme. It's like people dig up like, oh, he fucked a 16-year-old while he was 16.
Yeah, that's not what this is.
That's not what
this is like an Epstein thing.
This is
no.
Kinda,
it
not
ain't
as
that
bad.
bad.
Not as
It's not that bad. I mean, still bad, still
Still
criminal. So basically, the Department of Justice was looking into him for taking this minor across state lines and having sex with her. And I don't know, his opinion, his thing is that it's all fake, none of it's true. And he even said the name of the dude from the Department of Justice that was extorting him. First of all, you can't extort something. That's like
under criminal investigation.
Well, no, extortion is an admission of guilt. So, like, if hypothetically, if you were, cheating on your wife and your friend found out, the only way they could extort you is if you're guilty, right?
It's more blackmail, isn't it? Even if it's false.
Yeah, blackmail would be if
it's not true.
Blackmail is true or false. They're just using
blackmail and extortion. I feel like are almost used interchangeably.
They're synonyms.
But for sure, like if it was fake, it wouldn't be extortion.
No.
And that was kind of the problem with his wording. I don't know if really he thought that word through.
It's not extortion. It's just defamation, isn't it?
Yeah.
We could get into a whole bunch of legal jargonese, but let's just get to the crux of the issue.
Well, anyway, he's saying it's not true. And he went on Tucker Carlson's to say it's not true. And he also said the name of the dude who was, air quotes, extorting him.
Mm.
Well, it's an investigation from the DOJ. The crime for, revealing an informant for the DOJ is obstruction of justice. So, even if he's right...
They still got him.
They've got him on obstruction.
If they want him on obstruction.
Well, now you've got the publicity. Like, if you don't have him on what you're accusing him of, are you going to get him on obstruction? Because that's just bad optics for the Biden DOJ.
Exactly. And this is apparently a multi-year investigation.
Wow.
Predates
Which
Biden.
means he's been grooming her?
That would be the term, yes.
That's pedophilia.
That's the problem we're running into.
Yeah.
This was a girl who was supposedly bullied in high school. He visited her. He shared a Facebook Live about her. He said, hey, I showed her mean tweets about me to make herself feel better, to tell her, like, hey, you just kind of got to roll with the punches. People are going to be mean. Well, it's looking like he may have preyed on a young girl who...
Oh, so he's for sure a predator.
He preyed on someone with insecurities. And
so
that's
any
at least
30-year-old man,
possible.
Any 38-year... If what they say is true, any 38-year-old man who is the shoulder to cry on for a 17-year-old girl is a predator.
No.
You want to know why?
Hold on.
No. Okay, I'll hold on, but you're wrong.
If he goes to the school and he sees someone's getting bullied, and he's just trying to make him feel better, that doesn't make him a predator. That just makes him a good person.
Okay, that's why you fly him to New York in your own hotel room.
That's why I said if it's
now,
true.
To be fair, you
the
did not know that. I don't think I had said that.
So, like, if this is all he did,
if
all he did was trying to make her feel better, and, just trying to make her life better, that's just being a good person.
So I advise anyone...
Flying to New York is like...
I advise anyone who's curious about this, go watch the Tucker Carlson interview with him. It's maybe less than 8 minutes long. Basically, he incriminates Tucker Carlson. He was like, hey, you've met her, And then he was like, your wife has been to dinner with her even. And, And Tucker is just looking at him like, don't you fucking dare bring me into this. He's like, I brought you here to defend yourself, not bring me into it. And he was like, and you yourself, Tucker, I'm not the only one on stage here that has been accused of a false sex crime. And Tucker at the same stare, just, fuck you, Matt Gaetz.
Okay, so my problem is, so like say he takes this girl to dinner, and it's like you've heard of people, politicians, they'll take someone to dinner as like a stunt.
Not a 17-year-old
kid.
No, they do take high schoolers to dinner. Now, most of the time, it's a big event. That's the thing. If it's a big event, it's for something. Like, it's like, hey, we're going to pay for your dinner.
It's a charity event.
Yeah.
Or like, you got
Look, I'm not saying that...
Something like that. But
they could do publicity, so I'm just saying, Nick, I
don't think that
it's not looking like this is what that is.
I'm not saying that it is, but we got to differentiate that, because just because a politician is trying to help a person out or does a little charity event does not make them a pedophile automatically. Now, what he's allegedly doing, probably a pedophile.
So what... Important.
Context.
We should wait.
Context is important.
Kind of. But wait for our evidence. If this is a year-long investigation by the DOJ, let's wait and see what they uncover and what the actual facts are. What is on the table right now, as we are hearing it, sounds really bad.
Has the girl made a statement?
She's a minor. They can't.
They can't reveal the statement. I'm sure she's made a statement.
Maybe.
But
when did she turn 18? Does anyone know?
I don't know, but she's 17 now.
Well, because I feel like if she turns 18, she's going to be testifying.
Oh, she can testify now.
Minor.
You just need parental permission.
I was like, what the hell are we doing?
So as the information stands right now...
Looking like a...
So, especially... Any 38-year-old man having sex with a 17-year-old girl is a predator, in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
At the very least. Because you're an emotionally stable person.
What do you think the penalty should be for rapists and pedophiles?
Public execution.
Or castration.
No.
If I remember...
I said public execution.
You can't send them to jail because they'll die immediately in jail.
Well, that's my fault. I thought those were your two. Like, either castration or kill them.
I'm all for castration.
No, well, hold on. No, I was just asking what his were. So public execution.
If he is guilty of this, I advocate for public execution.
God damn. That can't be your answer to everything. You know that, right? You jaywalk? Well, time to get the electric chair.
Motherfuckers learn to learn not to jaywalk. No. Not the electric chair. Hanging.
Yeah, we're civilized now, Nick.
I'm all for firing the squad.
Anyway, but
with a cannon.
If he is guilty of these alleged crimes, I am public hanging.
oh yeah, he's going away for a while.
No, I didn't.
No, he's
Hanging.
I know that's what you want,
why,
but I'm
no
saying
offense,
like
he's
legally.
a politician. He'll be out quicker than you think. That's the sad part.
Thing is, he's kind of new to politics. He ain't exactly a politician. He's been here 2 years.
Depends what he's got, whose strings he's got.
Well,
If he's got dirt on anyone else,
he spoke at CPAC.
Woof.
fuck.
I know, and he's in the Trump wing, and that's kind of the problem. Him and Marjorie Taylor Greene are best buds, just the best of friends, and I'm like,
Wow.
you kill me, guys.
That's really unfortunate.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, we need to wait for the evidence before we start casting aspersions because
His
Estimation's a hell of a thing.
his chief of staff, who's been with him since even before politics, worked with him forever. She resigned today.
Smart move.
So the allegations came out
That's
just a
smart
few
move.
days ago. Well, they think it's because something incriminating's come up.
Nah, even then, it's a smart move
On
just
her?
to leave.
No, on Matt.
Any
Gaetz.
allegation, you want to distance yourself from the allegation.
well, that's for sure. She wants a career in politics. She needs to distance herself from it, regardless. So I'm not going to presume to know her intentions. They could either be like like you said, if something maybe come up and they're like, "Hey, you're out of a job now," or she could have been like, "I don't give a fuck whether you did it or not. I'm out. You don't have the swag to maintain this kind of accusation.
This is something
so
you'll never bounce back from.
You ain't Bill Clinton." Like,
Like,
And first of all, so Matt Gaetz has a couple of things. I mean, nothing close to pedophilia, but he's got a bunch of DUIs. He's not necessarily the most upstanding citizen.
yeah, it's a big swing from.
Mhm.
And like I said, I know we have the semantic argument. Pedophilia is technically someone under the age of 13, but it's for at least predatory behavior, and that's bad.
Yeah, no, this is gonna be something else. He woof. All right.
Wait for your facts, people. Don't just jump off the bridge. Because,
Well,
again,
it may be a year before we get
I'm
facts.
advocating public hanging if he's guilty, so I'm gonna wait for him to be found guilty.
you better hope he's guilty.
I don't want to.
And he's not innocent.
I don't want to hang innocent people, and that's
You
why
better
we're
hope
gonna
he's
wait.
guilty and not innocent later.
Yep. All right. Anything else happening in the world of politics?
Fuck no. I don't think so.
Mike Pence said he's heavily considering running in 2024.
Oh, sweet God. Who would I prefer, him or DeSantis?
That's what I'm saying. I think I lean towards
DeSantis
DeSantis.
has a better chance.
I would so vote for DeSantis in a heartbeat.
Oh, yeah. Like, there's no fucking way you're going to stop me from voting for DeSantis.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that dude's got... there's that collective mask burning march or something going on in Florida. A bunch of Florida people are saying, fuck you, CDC, and they're taking all their masks and they're burning them and they're doing a march down
That's
the street.
hilarious.
I fucking love every bit of it. I hate masks so much and I'm so ready to be fucking done with it.
They'll be
But-
wear one forever.
Alright, it is 4:15,
I gotta get
4:30 in
back.
the morning.
All right, well, we got to go to bed, guys. So this has been fun. So we will talk to y'all later.
Yep, have a good night. Hey guys, thanks for listening. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that little notification bell in the corner, and be sure to let us know if you guys have any ideas for what you want to see from us next. We're a new upcoming podcast. Share it with your friends if you're confident.